Yes, now I can.
Okay, great. So as you can see, I'm typing supplier category here, and I would go to this task called maintain supplier categories. We already have 179 supply categories here as it's a practice term, but normally in real world it would be somewhere around like 30, 40 or max 50. It won't be like crossing 100 or 100 plus values here. For our demo purpose, I'll just create one here and we'll say, let me think of a good one. Fast food, no, not a fast food, healthy food, health supplements. Okay. Like the suppliers who are into the business of health supplements. So it's a health supplements. Okay, then we will create a supply group. So we'll go to this task called maintain supply groups. And the group is like health industry. The supplier is from health industry. So we're done with two pre-configurations. Now let's talk about the payment terms. So for that, we'll type payment terms here. Maintain payment terms. And we'll give it a name. Let's say 4 days. Net 4 days. Okay. Then if any discount we would give, and I'll show you the calculation how that discount would be captured. So let's say we'll give them 1% discount. Okay. Discount days, like how many discount days will give to them or the supplier will give it to us. Now the important point just in here is that these payment terms are like unique and can be used by both by customer invoices as well as supplier side also. So both ways you can use it, be it for your customer invoices or supplier invoices. And discount days will say, okay, we'll give 1 day discount day here. Grace is like how many grace days you will give. Suppose or the supplier will give it to you. Again, it's a vice versa. So you can say net 4 days. Let me just make it unique here. Supplier payment term. Okay, so supplier will give us like 4 days, 3 days of grace period if we miss the due date. So let's say the due date was 9th of December and we missed it. So even after 9th of December, we can still make the payments in next 4 days after it. Then rule type. Okay. So we'll say add days, days of month, add days. So we are saying 4 days here. So 4 days. If it is like 10 days, within 10 days from the supplier invoice, if you have to make payment, then we'll say 10 or 15, whatever it is. But as we're talking about 4 days here, so we'll just mention 4 days here. Now, this will tell you the calculate due date. So let's say if this is the transaction date, the due date would be 11 from the 7, 4 days. As we have added 4 days here, so it would be 11th of December. And net 4 day supply payment term. So this is looks good. Now, once we are done with that, we'll go to the task called create supplier. Supplier name, let's say Herbal Life. Now that's a big company which is into like health supplements. So we'll say Herbal Life Private Limited or whatever, like we can just say anything here. Then DUNS number is a global number, Dun and Bradstreet number. It's an agency which provide the rating to the suppliers that where they stand in terms of rating. Are they good to do business with? Do they provide timely payments to their employees or timely services to their customers and all those things? So you can do Google about it, DUNS number, you will come to know more about this. As we do not have anything, we'll just skip this. Unique entity identifier. If it's a unique entity in the business, so there will be unique number for that also. So if you have that provided by the client, then you can use it, otherwise keep it blank, because right now we're focusing more on this red asterisk value, which are mandatory to have before you create suppliers. And as I said, you can have only one category here. So I'll just type health here. Wherever you see this radio button or circle button in the prompt, this is what we call as a prompt. Okay. Wherever you see this circle button here, round button here, like this, it means you can select only one value in that prompt. In this field section, you can only select one value. So if I just say health and I press enter, supplier group. So again, it was health industry, but suppose I want to select more. So wherever you see this checkbox or X sign kind of thing, you can select multiple values. But if there's a round circle, it means on that particular field value from the prompt, you can select only one value on that particular field. Now, let's say health industry, and we want to use this agri-chemicals also, supply group also. So you can see the difference here that we can select multiple supply groups and only one supplier category. 1 second. Default payment terms, net 4 days. Payment type. Okay. What would be the payment type through which we'll make the payment to the supplier? So we'll say cash, we'll say check also. Okay, we can say direct deposit also, but we need to provide, if you select direct deposit or EFT like this values, then you have to provide the banking detail also, which we'll see in a few seconds from now. Out of this, what will be the default payment type through which we'll pay the supplier? We'll say cash. Now default reference type. So we see a few values here. If you just do Google on this, like Boleto Bancario, ESR, FIC number, KIT number. So what exactly they are? So basically, in some developed countries or developing countries, we do have other payment gateways also apart from Visa and Master, like a UPI payment directly deposited to your account. For that, these countries have a specific payment method that they force certain companies, if they're dealing with small suppliers or specific suppliers, then they have to use these payment methods like Boleto Bankari. So this is not like a fancy word or slang. This is their payment system. Same for Switzerland also, ESR. FIC number is for Denmark. KID number is Norway. OCR number, Sweden. So basically, these are different payment gateways that you use to process the payment to the supplier. If you have that, you will select and you will give a number to it. If you don't, just leave it. If this supplier has a credit card, okay, or we own a credit card from this supplier, like examples, Amex. If you own Amex, then Amex is a supplier and Amex has given you a credit card which will have a number. So that credit card number, we have to or add the details here for that supplier. Then does this supplier accept all goods? Suppose this supplier gave us the goods and services in euro, but while making the payments or remittance to him, if you want to make payments in USD, we can do that. The system will allow you to process the payments of the supplier in different currencies also. Now this is like accept all currencies, that is fine, but what would the default currency? So we'll say USD, in which majorly the deal or they have set up the business in US. So this becomes a US based supplier and the currency becomes USD. Supplier security agreement is like again from we don't need to go to security part here, but I'll just tell you that suppose in accounts payable team, there are like 6 people now who looks after different suppliers, and they have a range like for first 10 will be looked by X, then certain 10 suppliers will be looked by person Y, and then another 20 suppliers would be looked by Z or something like this. Okay, so what does it mean? It means that the person X who's looking 10 suppliers will not be able to see person-wise suppliers. Okay, he would be whenever he would search suppliers, only these 10 suppliers which are assigned to him as part of secure segment, they will only show up. It will not allow them to see the suppliers assigned to person Y. So this is what it does. We'll just skip it and we'll just say okay here. Now, once we come to this page, so you can see the system has assigned one supplier ID here. The application status or the approval status is in draft right now because we are still drafting the details here. We are not configured anything or we have not completed anything. The proposed supplier status by default comes as an active, but if you want to choose a hold or inactive, you can do so. Reason, if you want to put this on hold, like acquire data entry error, whatever it is, restricted to companies. One second. So the next option is restricted to companies. So what does it mean? It means that if this supplier you want to use of with certain companies only, like company A and B can only be used for the supplier, then you can mention those companies. For example, let me put GMS USA here. And my company also, like, and we'll put Olive here. So where's it? Olive Garden, yeah, OG001. So I can select multiple companies here. What does mean that if a third company, apart from these two companies, want to create a supplier invoice with this supplier, they won't be able to do so. Only these two companies can use this supplier in the supplier invoices. Others won't be able to use this supplier. Again, we talked about DUNS number. It's like a unique number given by rating agency. Unique entity identifier. That's like, again, a unique number attached to the supplier. Document link. So if you have any details about the supplier on a SharePoint, where say someone from the supplier administrator who looks after all the master data management of supplier, if they want to see more about the supplier, any attachment link or more details about the supplier, that why we are dealing with the supplier or what the supplier does and all those things, so we can mention the document link here. Now, customer account number. This is like people do get confused. What is the customer account number? So what is customer account number is nothing like, because for us, this company, Herbalife Private Limited, is a supplier, but for them, we are a customer, right? Because we're a customer for them, then definitely they would have some number for us in their system, whatever they use. That would be the customer account number, and we have to mention that customer account number here. Then certificate of insurance date, what it means, why insurance here? Suppose this is a insurance based supplier. We buy insurance policies from the company. We become customer for them and they become our supplier because we are paying them for our insurance. So if you have the certificate of insurance date when the insurance was issued to you or for your employees, then you can mention that date here. Then suppose this supplier gives us discount to us for making early payments. Then what would be excluded from that discount? Will it be freight amount, other charges, tax amount, whatever it is, we can mention it here. Then accepted payment times we just saw, like cash, check, but the default payment type is cash here. Default reference type, we already talked about it. It's like different payment gateways. You can Google and say Boleto Bank Karya, you'll come to know this is a different payment gateway. Then credit card, we already talked about it. Then always separate payments, what it means. Let's say we have to process 10 payments for the supplier. We got 10 invoices from the supplier and we are saying, okay, let me issue one consolidated bank check to you that you can deposit in your account and get the invoices cleared up. But supplier says, no, boss, we need individual checks for our each invoice. Please do not club our payments. So because we will have difficulties in reconciling payments for which invoice we have received the payment, which invoice we have not received the payments. It's better you separate the payments. Okay. So different 10 payments will be issued to this supplier, either checks or direct deposit to their accounts. That will be 10 different payments as per their supplier invoices. Now, what is this do not pay during bank account updates? I'll just show you a tab called bank accounts. Okay. Settlement bank account here. Settlement bank account is nothing, is the account of the supplier in which we will be depositing the payment, direct deposits or EFT, electronic payments, whatever it is. It says that suppose 10 people have the access to the supplier and someone else is updating the bank account details for the supplier because they have received the request from the supplier, they are changing it, whatever XYZ reason. So if you're clicked on this, what will happen is even if someone is changing the bank account details, the payment will not be processed for the supplier because we have clicked on this option, and you can read the description here. It says do not pay while settlement bank account changes are in progress. Exclude supplier invoice from settlement. So the supplier invoices will not show up for the supplier if someone is updating the settlement bank account for this supplier. Remittance integration system. Now this is an integration, a core IT thing, which would be developed by the integration team. Now this would link our bank account, the company bank account, and the supplier bank account. And this is how the payment will be processed. It like through settlement run will process the payments, but in actual, the integration will come into the picture and that will process the payments from our account to the supplier bank account. Default supplier payment memo. We have different options here. If you want to see default text, thanks for doing business with us, it's something like this. Let me just write it down. Thanks for your services. Thanks for your services. If you put this or XYZ, whatever the text is, depend company to companies. Okay, then this text would be printed on the check and the remittance. So remittance means whenever they will receive the electronic payment, they will this text will also pop up in their payment details or in the memo. Thanks for doing business with us. Have a great day. Something like this. Whatever you want, you can put it here. Use supply reference. Use supply reference. So in this one, what happens is that the Bancario one, right? So if you select the Bancario one here, then you have to give a Bancario reference number also, like this one. It's talking about this reference number. If you select any of this, then you have to give us unique payment gateway number also here. Use invoice memo. It means the memo that you would put. I'll show you once we come to the invoice part, that how to put a invoice memo. Use supplier connection memo. So there can be different, suppose this is a parent supplier and then there are some child suppliers also. So they can use those connection memo also, which I will demo in coming class also, how to use that. Now, none of the above means do not print anything or mention anything in the supplier payments. So whenever you process the payments, be it your supplier, what you call check or your direct deposit into the bank accounts, do not print anything there. Just the remittance integration file and the invoice number through which they are getting the payments. That's all. So we'll come to the next part now. Proposed children. What it means? It means is that if this is a parent supplier and they have more suppliers or children suppliers or sister firms who are also doing business with your company called Olive Garden, then we can add those children here and this would become a parent. And if it is a parent entity or the top level entity or the supplier, under that they have small supplier companies also which does business with us, then we'll add the supplier here as a proposed children to the supplier. Otherwise, we'll leave it blank. If they have any phone number, so yes, definitely they would have phone number. Let me add one. Two one three. Yeah, And just like company quantity details, we'll add this mobile, primary, billing remit to shipping. Visibility is public, means anyone can view this number in the system. Again, if it's a primary, billing remit to and shipping, and we can say we'll use this email address for our procurement. Procurement means your POs. For supplier contract also, we'll use this thing. Now we'll come to the other section of this. So now here we'll add some bank account details for the supplier. Now this is a supplier bank account, not our bank account. Remember this. This is the detail provided by the supplier that this is our bank account in which we need payments from you, from the Olive Garden. So we'll say Herbal current account. Checking. Just to make it easy, I'll just select India here. Otherwise, we have to put a lot of information for US bank accounts and that will take a lot of time. So I'll just say SCFC. Bank name SCFC Limited. Account number. Let's say something. Name on account, we'll say Herbal Life Private Limited. Bank instructions, we do not work on holidays and weekends. Please reach out to customer care for any urgent, something like this for the other person to understand that they are making changes, and if they want to contact bank for any XYZ reason, then they won't be able to do so if it's a weekend or a holiday. Then we'll come to the tax information part here. If it's a like 1099 supplier, so 1099 is very common in US. You have to report all the taxes in advance for any supplier payment that you're making. That's majorly for your 1099. So here you can see tax authority form type is like either 1042S, 1099, DS2, TDS, whatever it is. So if it's a 1099 supplier, then yes, we'll select 1099 here. The rest we'll leave it blank. If it has any tax ID, okay, what tax ID means? So let's say for USA, if it's a US based supplier, then they would have an employer ID number also. And we'll just say employer ID number here. And if it's a primary tax ID, we'll click on this checkbox. Tax status. What is the tax status of this supplier? Again, we'll select USA here. Transaction tax status. Again, it can be EU company exempt, EU company non-VAT registered, non-EU company non-VAT registered, and all those things. If you want to otherwise hit delete button here. Alternate name. If this supplier has any alternate name like Herbal Nutritions Private Limited or Herbal Nutritions XYZ, Herbal Supplements like that. So if it has such name, let's say Herbal Nutrients, Nutri. Okay. And where this would be used. So we'll say this would be used as doing business as alternate supply connection, 1099 recipient, connection integration name, purchase order name, and all those things. Oops. What has happened here? I believe. Don't do this. Don't do this. Yeah. But never mind. We'll just find the supplier. So let's hit cancel here. Let's see till what page the system has stored the value. Ah, come on. It was herbal. So this is in draft right now. This is was the ID. Let's see till where the system has saved our details. Tax information. Did it say the tax information? No, we lost that. Let's talk about the settlement bank account, contact details, assigned roles, attachment, invoices and payments, contracts and purchase orders. If it's not visible here, no need to worry. So it's a supplier, add it. Okay, so we had discussed till here. Ah, we lost everything. Never mind. Let me put that details here again. Phone device, mobile, primary billing limit to shipping. I'm using India here because I know few FSC codes. It's easy. Otherwise, I would have to search like American text codes or FSC code here. So CFC banking, CFC limited account number, name and account, Herbalife, private limited. We said we do not work on. We don't work on holidays. Then tax information will not make it tenant and supplier. I click on this plus button here. And let's say USA here. Text I type. And then this one, primary text ID, alternate name. Let's add a herbal nutrient here. Herbal nutrient. This we would use on our doing business as, integration name, mapping, references, purchase order issue, anything else. Okay, fair enough. Then procurement options, invoice any supplier. So what does it mean is like, can it create supplier invoices for other suppliers also? If yes, we'll click on this checkbox, otherwise we'll leave it blank. Enable text changes in supplier portal. So supplier portal is like whole together a different world, and that takes a lot of time to configure everything. So basically, what it means like supplier portal is like a place where suppliers can log in and with ID and password given by us to them, and they would be able to see their supplier invoices, purchase orders, receipts, and everything. And they can raise queries also, like a lot of things they can do using supplier portal. So we'll say no, as we're not talking about that topic here, so we'll just leave it. Default procurement item. Okay, so we'll say show ticket. So anytime we'll create a supplier invoice for the supplier, you would see that this comes up automatically at the line level. So I'll just demo you also once we get just clear this up. So restricted companies to supplier contract. We just say companies. Apply context. Okay, leave it for now and we'll talk about this some other day. Otherwise, we have to go in deep in some other area, which we'll cover later on. Okay, purchase order option, issue option. So we'll say we'll issue the purchase order to supplier to by email. Now, what does it mean? It's simply like in older days or in the last century, maybe they would be issuing the purchase orders via some letter that this is asked from you and can you please respond? Then supplier used to respond to them that yes, we do have this material stuff and everything. And that's how the communication used to happen through letters and everything. But nowadays, when we issue the purchase order to supplier, that can be done very quickly, instantly, also using this option called email. We can email the copy of the purchase order to them and say that this is are the items that you have discussed with us, and we need them in like next 10 days, 20 days, and 30 days, whatever it is. Then default PO issue email. So the email that we just set it up, that will show up here. If you go to the Ollie also. Okay, so this is done. Disable change order. Now, with some suppliers, they say if you have issued the purchase order to us, it means it's issued. Okay. You cannot make changes to that purchase order because it takes a lot of effort for us to find the things and deliver it to you and all those things. So you cannot do the change order in the mid of the transaction. You have to tell us in advance that if you want to make some changes to the supplier setup or master data. So if supplier says no, you can't make any changes, then we click on this disable change order. Means now from now onward, once we hit OK, and this is a proof that if somebody wants to create a change order for the supplier, then they won't be able to do so. Shipping terms. So we all have our shipping terms, right? When you buy something from Amazon, some other Flipkart or Beat, anything. If you buy something online, you have a shipping term that you will pay us the freight, or it's like cash on delivery, or even if it is like sponsored by government, then what are the chances and all those things. So those are shipping terms if you have anything. Otherwise, we can leave it blank here. Then shipping method, how that item will be shipped. Again, we have nothing here, so leave it blank here. Then let me think of something which is important here. Minimum order amount currency. Yeah. What is it like? Yes, let's talk about this also. So there are some suppliers. If you buy something online, they say, no, you have to make it like $100 or $200 to buy this stuff. So if there's any minimum order amount that supplier takes, let's say if he takes at least 500, okay, $500 based amount should be there when we ask something from him, because it takes like a lot of courier charges or other charges, FYI. So that's why uh, what you call it, the currency would be USD, but we'll say now 500 at least should be there. That we need to order from you. You cannot say, okay, we will order for $400 or $300. No, 400 or 500 USD is the minimum amount. At least you have to place order to the supplier. Otherwise, he will not deliver the goods to us. So this is like minimum order amount. Then this is advance ship notice. So the clear and live example, and the good example would be like you bought something from Amazon or some online stuff. Then it keeps telling you that where your item is, who will deliver it, by when, and all those things. So even if you are like have everything, this is a reminder that yes, will inform you in advance that your item has been shipped from this location to New York, to Vegas, to Nevada, wherever the location is. Okay. Then advance ship notice due in how many days? Okay. Before how many days you should inform the company that we'll just send this stuff to you. Please have someone at your reception, and then just do all those things XYZ. So we can put the advance ship notice just like 4 days in advance. What it means is, suppose today they are delivering. So from today, previous 4 days before, they should have informed us that this is uh, the location of your item, or this is where your item right now, in how many days you will receive it, and all those things. So that is basically advance ship notice. Then related work tag. Suppose this cost center, sorry, this supplier belongs to a cost center called this location, New York. And the region also is belongs from like Americas. Yeah, location is fine. If you think anything as a region, APAC. I'm just taking some dummy values here. So it should be fine. APAC. Classification, yes. So this one is important. Spend categories or hierarchies. So I'll just say entertainment here. Okay, the classification. Now, as you're in US, so you know that there are a lot of movements. Black Lives Matter. We have veterans who are retired from the army, and then there are some widow-based organizations also, so, or women-based organizations who help women to do good in business. So there are different classifications of those suppliers. Okay, or LGBTQ community. What used to happen earlier is that the companies doesn't used to give all the business to everyone. They used to give it like stick with only one supplier, that you are a favorite one and you do it on time, and maybe XYZ reason, it could be anything. And will not give this our work to any other supplier in the market. Then a bill was introduced that you have to give business to all these people also, like veterans who retired from the army, or Black Lives Matter, LGBT community, and all those things. So that was introduced, and then this is called supplier classification. I'll just pick one here just to show you how it looks like. Supplier classification. Okay, where's that? Country, USA. Let's say they are black community suppliers. Okay, then we have to give a number here, the license number under which they are registered. That is fine. Contingent worker, suppose we are setting up a contingent worker as an supplier, then we can use this option here. Do not reimburse contingent worker with expense reports. That is fine. Or attachment and notes. If you want to add any notes, that's fine. So we'll click on this, and there are 2 rows, 1 row. So we'll say test. Demo. Okay, and the second one, let's say test demo 2. Like this is just to put some notes about the supplier, that's all. Hit submit. We got one error. Only one must be marked as primary. Didn't we do that? Didn't we do that? Ah, come on. I want to see contact information. Yeah, is it? Ah, iPad. That's perfect. So based on business process or activity details, Our supplier is live up and running. Herbalife, that's their ID status. It's approved. The address of this supplier, the spend category, sorry, supply category and supply group, and anything else. Payment details. Yeah, we have mentioned it 4 days, supply payment term, cash check or deposit. And we said cash also. So anything else all looks good. Yeah, from the setup perspective, everything has been configured for the supplier, all looks good. Now, tomorrow once we'll start the transactions now. So we're done with the supplier setup and the company setup and other some small pre-configurations.